Right, well, on the line, we have, I did ask earlier for people to phone in, we have John from Basingstoke. Are you there, John?
I am indeed, Mark. John Ashe with an E from Basingstoke, calling in again to have an old chin wag with my mate, Mark, on the airwaves.
Well, nice to speak to you, John. How am I finding you this time of the festive time of year?
Through the use of a telephone. It's amazing, isn't it, what science can bring us? That's how we're finding each other.
Okay. What I actually meant was, are you in a festive mood?
Well, it's very important to say what we mean. And there's a lot of miscommunication these days, so I think sticking to what you really mean rather than using, phrases and metaphors, quite helpful to do that these days, really, Mark.
Right. Okay, John, so what are you calling about today, then?
Oh, what I'm calling about is nativity plays.
Oh,
That's
right.
what I'm calling about.
Okay.
How they used to be, how they should be, how they are today, and how they will be tomorrow.
Right.
How they might be tomorrow, because I don't know how they will be.
No, okay. So, well, care to elucidate our listeners?
Yes, I recently saw, actually, yesterday, I saw a nativity play in which my grandson was starring as Joseph. But I have some misgivings about the way it was put together. And, I can share my views with some level of anonymity, as it were, in that there aren't any local people who will be listening to this conversation.
Well, there might be on Alexa. You never know.
There might be. There might be. I'm prepared to take that risk.
Right.
But I don't really want to cause a problem at the local church.
Okay.
But I don't think it's sufficiently serious to cause a problem. There are other issues where I would be prepared to stand up and make my case, but not with this one really.
Okay.
But I still am not very satisfied with the way it was done.
Okay. What was the issues here, John?
Well, a number of issues really. I mean, when you actually look at the Gospels, you don't find all kinds of things that actually take place in these wretched nativity plays. I mean, there's no innkeeper.
Right.
I mean, I spent some time looking through the Gospels to try and find an innkeeper, and all this business about Joseph and Mary they go to Bethlehem, and they look around and they try and find something. The place is so busy they can't find anywhere. And this innkeeper says, "Oh, sorry, we haven't got any room in here." It's a lot of nonsense. It's not there anywhere.
Okay.
I've scoured the texts and I can't find any mention of an innkeeper.
What I mean,
but you can guarantee there'll be somebody as an innkeeper in these nativity plays.
Okay. Well, wasn't there some sort of census and they had to return to their place of birth? I seem to recall something like that. That's
right. That's right. Well, yes, there's a census. That's right. Yep. So Joseph has to go back. That's right. So he goes back.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean there's an innkeeper, does it?
Right.
Well, he goes back to family house or something like that, or to a brother or something.
Could it be a translation issue?
Oh, I don't know. Probably, I don't know. There are a lot of incompetent people translating all sorts of things, but that's not the only thing.
Right.
There will have these kings.
Okay. Right.
With all these crowns on. Well, I scour the text and I can't find any kings.
Not true. I thought they all followed a star. Are you sure?
Well, they're magi, which is kind of astrologer types, astrologer stroke philosophers, not kings. But how are you going to get a whole bunch of kings? Sitting on camels and travelling across the desert. I mean, it doesn't make sense anyway. But there's nothing in the text, you see.
Okay.
So I have to sit there.
But I mean, keep
my mouth shut.
They might be king. I mean, there might be kings. It doesn't say they're kings, but it might be. I mean, read between the lines.
They could be quantity surveyors then, couldn't they?
Well, I suppose so.
Doesn't say they're not quantity surveyors, but I wouldn't disapprove of that. That might be a rather good performance, actually.
So we three quantity surveyors giving gifts. That would work, wouldn't it? In your book, John?
I don't think it would scan with that famous carol. Just try. We three quantity surveyors of Orient. I don't know whether they would be called quantity surveyors in the Orient, would they?
No, perhaps not.
I suppose if they were on the Orient Express, travelling from England towards the Orient. So, we three kings on the Orient Express are travelling in the wrong direction. No, it would be the right direction, but from the wrong direction. Travelling from the wrong direction.
But they didn't
have travel afar.
They didn't have trains then, John.
Well, that would also be another drawback, would be an anachronism, so I'd have to complain about that. No, I don't think there's any way around it. You just have to call them astrologer philosophers.
Well, how does that scan?
We three astrologer philosophers of Orient are... It doesn't scan. No. They have to rewrite the whole carol.
Was that so those are the two issues. Any more issues, John?
Anymore? Yeah, well, 3.
Oh.
We don't even know there were 3.
Okay.
You scour the text.
Yes.
You can't even find it. There would have to be indeterminate numbers of quantity surveyors, whatever it was, are. I don't quite know where I would be with all those ideas. You see, it would be quite complex to talk about, wouldn't it?
I mean, they did give.
But did I say astrologer philosophers?
Yeah.
Indeterminate number of astronomer philosophers are traveling. We follow a star. It just would lose some sense of poetry.
Okay.
I think
it would be hard for the children to sing as well, I guess.
Well, you can get them to do these things. You give them a good whack if they don't do it properly.
Well, okay, John. Okay, so you had issues with that.
Yes.
I mean, they gave gold, frankincense, and myrrh, right? So, they could have been 3 of them. Get one each. Giving one, I presume in the nativity you saw, they had 3 of them, and each one gave a sort of a present, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So that all worked in the narrative of the nativity play, did it?
Well, I'm not talking about whether it works in some play. Of course, it will work in some play if somebody brings a vacuum cleaner in and hoovers the floor. You could say, "Oh, look, this is Aunt so and so. She's just tidying up," and it would work, wouldn't it?
No, I don't think it would. I don't think that would work.
No?
No.
Well, you could feed the camel. You could feed the camel
with a
hay
vacuum
or something,
cleaner.
and that would kind of fit. But there's no mention of it. There's no mention of a camel.
Okay.
Now, my point is with the gold, the frankincense, and the myrrh. Okay, those are mentioned.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. But it doesn't mean there are 3 magi, does it? Just because there are 3 gifts.
So
I might add, it's always gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and nothing else. There could have been all kinds of other things that were given.
Well, yeah, you just said, John, that you can't read between the lines, and if it's not mentioned, it wasn't true. So now you're saying, oh, well, there could be other things that might have happened, but we don't know about it. Isn't that going against what you just said?
Well, you've rehearsed the point, because I'm not quite sure I take what you mean there, Mark.
Well, you've just said that they could have given all sorts of things like,
what was I talking about at that moment?
Vacuum cleaners and
yes.
Ferrero Rocher and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, but those things wouldn't have been made at the time, would they?
I don't know. Ferrero Rocher, chocolate wasn't chocolate around then, wasn't it? I mean, was it the Incas or the Aztecs? Was it the Aztecs made chocolate?
I don't think the Aztecs would have been around in Palestine.
Well, no.
I don't think so, anyway.
Okay.
The vacuum cleaners wouldn't have been around, would they? Because that would have been an electrical device. Now, I don't think that the ancients had actually harnessed the power of electricity.
Well, no, of course.
Electricity was around at the time.
Well, strictly speaking, John, a vacuum can occur, I believe, in nature, and it can occur sort of mechanically without any kind of electricity. You can create a vacuum, can't you? Even sort of briefly, even sucking in, sort of creates a vacuum.
Well, I suppose so. It could have been somebody's aunt sort of using their cheeks or something to suck the carpet.
Yeah, I mean,
look, I think we might be off target with this conversation. I was talking about nativity plays.
Right. Sorry, John.
Yes, that's right. And all kinds of inaccuracies and things that have accrued over the years, and I can't find any mention of these things, And then, to add insult to injury, you get robins.
What?
And you get extra robin, some child dressed as a robin, with a red breast and brown legs. There's no mention of a robin in the text. Any of the Gospels, you can find any. There isn't a list of animals, birds and beasts. And
what about the ark? What about the ark?
Hmm?
What about the ark?
Well, I don't think we're talking about that one, are we, Mark?
Well, no, you mentioned the Bible, so I'm just saying, what about on the ark? There must have been robins.
I think you have to appreciate that the Bible is a collection of books stretching over thousands of years. And I'm talking about, of course, the birth of our Lord. I'm not talking about Noah and his small holding. Right.
So did you take your issues, did you speak to the head teacher at the school then about these? It sounds like you should have spoken to somebody, get it off your chest.
Well, I could have spoken to the head teacher at the school, but that's not where the nativity took place.
Okay.
So I don't think that would have been a particularly wise thing to do, because I expect he would have said to me, "What are you talking about?" It was the church.
Right.
And I could have taken it to the vicar.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said before, I don't particularly wish to cause a stir. Although I disapprove, I don't think it's that serious, you see.
Okay. All right, but I mean, yes, go on.
No, I'll leave that thought.
Oh, okay. So those are the issues you had.
I will. I will, actually.
Oh, okay.
No, yes. Father Christmas.
Oh.
Now, Yeah, no, you can't bring Father Christmas into a nativity scene, can you? Really?
Tricky. That one, I think I'll give you that one, John. That's
Yes.
trickier. Considering he's
Well, it is tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have these three kings, which should really be an indeterminate number of philosophers coming in,
Yeah.
and with no crowns, and with a whole bunch of gifts, among which are various things they bought, those three things they bought on the Silk Road while they travel along.
Yeah.
But you don't then have ho, 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 hello, everybody, with this great big sack full of toys and a great big, white beard and red trousers and things. And ho, 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 Father Christmas here. Have you been good boys and girls? I'm sorry, but that does not take place in a nativity scene.
When did that happen then? What was that after Jesus was born, or what? Or was it a prelude to him being born? Was it Father Christmas and then Jesus, or what happened?
Oh, in the play. Oh, no, Father Christmas came on at the end.
Okay.
So you have this insult to injury multiplied, where you have the shepherds come in, and then all these kings come in, and they should have been at least months later. They all come in, a few minutes later, all smiling and thinking they've got it right.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to spend months. You wouldn't want to.
I know who he is.
Yeah.
I know the kids know who he is as well. He's got this white beard on and his little round glasses. I mean, they all know who it is.
Who is it?
And he's ho, 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 and actually blowing the whole idea of Father Christmas for these poor children, because now they're thinking, just a minute, this isn't the real Father Christmas. This is Arthur.
Oh, is it? Right. I
won't give you the surname.
No. What's his role? Is he a verger? Sounds like that's a sort of verger name.
He's not a verger. No, he is a lay reader in the church. So he's it's quite often, his face is quite often seen at the front.
Right.
And known to all the regular attendees amongst the Sunday school.
I see.
So I think that was a little bit callous, to be honest, because I think they'll be saying to their mums and dads, "Is there really a Father Christmas?" You see.
Oh, well, that's surprising in a way that happened in church. I would have thought they were doing a bit more, concerned with the religious side of it rather than the secular side of it. But
you would have thought, that they wouldn't be confusing children with Robins and Father Christmases and lots of inaccuracies, really.
Oh, well,
I was talking about the vacuum cleaner. Of course, I was being facetious.
Yeah.
I wouldn't approve of a vacuum cleaner at all. No.
Well, I'm sorry you didn't. So basically, you didn't have a good time there by the sound of it. That's a bit sad.
Not really, and there weren't many carols that I recognised either. Lots of modern things, and I tend to be a rather conservative individual, so I wasn't too pleased about that either. And there was also a sticky note on the organ.
A sticky note on the organ? A
sticky note on the organ, yes. It was an E-flat, actually, if one has to...
The sticky note was an E-flat?
Clarify. A sticky E-flat. Now, if you're playing...
I see. I thought you meant a sticky note.
A major...
I thought you meant I thought you meant a sticky note, like a yellow sticky note, saying something.
Oh, no. Not that sort of sticky note, but a sticky note.
A note that was sticky, right.
A note that was sticky, which I like to call E-flat, although it's the same as D sharp.
Right.
Now, if you're playing a hymn or a carol in A major, you're quite likely to play a D sharp at some point when you're sort of modulating to the dominant. Now,
oh, right.
Yes. Now, that D sharp or E flat then sticks, and then you have the rest of the carol, which is in A major, with this nasty D sharp playing, when in fact you've reverted back to A major and you've got lots of D naturals.
Oh, dear.
So you've got D natural and D sharp all the time, which of course is a dissonance, and it's not very nice. And you're sitting there thinking, can somebody turn that organ off? We'd better just sing without it. But no, no, they have to carry on because that's what they're doing that day, you see. So I would say that it ruined it, but of course then we have Father Christmas go on.
Right, and that ruined it.
And that extra ruined it. That's right.
Well, I'm sorry, John, but could you get anything good out of it at all? Like, how was your grandson? What was he playing? Oh, was he playing Joseph? I think you said, didn't you?
Joseph.
And
he was of such an age, he was oblivious to all these things, but absolutely ruined it for me. I have to say.
Well, I hope you. Oh dear. I was going to say I hope the next one's better next year, but do you know what? I think it might well be the same. The trouble is, if you try and do it correctly, historically, you'd have to wait. You'd be sitting there for months, wouldn't you? Waiting for the three or the certain amount of astrologers to come along. That'd be months away. And then,
there are ways around these things. And what you could do is you could have somebody come on, perhaps with a big sign saying months later, and then walk off. And then the wise men could come on, couldn't they?
Would it work?
Could do that sort of thing. With just a bit of imagination, these various problems can be got over. But you see, you need somebody with a scientific mind to think these things through. And I don't think anybody involved with the Sunday school has a scientific mind. I think they have minds, but of different orders, different types.
Would it work if after you had the I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but after Jesus was born and everything was all sort of hunky-dory, you had somebody up with a sign saying 1,800 years later, and then you had Father Christmas come up, because he's a sort of Victorian invention, isn't he? Would that work?
Well, that's not a bad idea, actually. Yes, you could do that. Yes. Although perhaps you should then call him Santa Claus, because I think Father Christmas might go back further than that.
True.
Although I think lots of, the conflation with Father Christmas and the giving of presents and all that sort of thing is, as you say, a Victorian matter. But so you'd have to call him Santa Claus. And then I think you would then need to clarify, without giving away to the children the matter that we talked about earlier on, which could be a bit of a,
disappointment.
What's the word I want? Killjoy.
Yes.
Killjoy.
Yeah.
Yes, a disappointment and a killjoy. You have to somehow clarify that Santa Claus is a corruption of Saint Nicholas.
Okay.
And that could be quite tricky, wouldn't it?
Well, that was could be on another sign, I suppose. Okay. Well,
another sign would do that. Yes, I think so. Without mentioning the possibility that Saint Nicholas pushed over the Bishop Arius during the Nicene Council back in the 4th century.
So
I think we should mention that.
Pushed over.
That could be
pushed over.
Give him a bit of a push. Give him a bit of a nudge. Yes, in a disagreement. There is a view that maybe that took place.
Gosh, you're quite an expert. You're quite the expert.
The idea that Santa Claus goes around pushing people over, giving them a nudge could make children a little bit frightened, couldn't it?
Yes.
I think you need to have lots of signs being put up to explain these things.
Yeah. Well, okay, John. Sorry about that. That sounds like normally it'd be quite a fun thing to do, but well, never mind. Do you have a song you'd like us to play for you?
Well, I thought I thought by way of irony, and just to make my point, really, I would like everybody to experience the well-known carol "We Three Kings of Orient Are," and bearing in mind all that I've said, to appreciate the irony of the situation and to listen to those words and think, tut, 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 they've got that wrong.
Right.
And just to realise how far back that goes. And I don't want it to be, and let's not have some performance by, I don't know, King's College, Cambridge or something like that, or some, rotten Oxford College, or, a lot of people with silver spoons in their mouths singing, of course. Well, they could speak, but that wouldn't be so effective, would it? Well, it would help with that sticky organ key, but it's not even that church, so no, I wouldn't want a choir like that. But if you could find some, perhaps, a recording of a local church choir singing this, that would be close to the experience that I had yesterday.
Okay. That, Mark? Well, the only trouble is, John, we've had a quick look at the virtual database, and the only one we have actually is, I'm afraid, King's College, Cambridge.
What?
Sorry. Is that okay? Can we play that for you? Just this once?
I suppose I'll have to. If that's the only one you've got, I'll have to accept that.
Okay. Sorry, John.
Another irony there, Mark. A bitter irony that I'm experiencing on air as we speak.
Well, I'm sorry, John, you've had a few issues with that. Would you like to give a shout-out at all for this song?
Molly, I think, please.
Right.
Now, the reason why I've chosen Molly is because she was involved for quite a long time, for probably 2 or 3 decades, in a Sunday school, and all of her nativities had similar faults. Not as bad as this, I have to say. There was no Father Christmas in hers, but you can imagine. Inns, innkeepers, stables, kings, 3 of them.
What about
the full whack, except for Father Christmas. So I think it would be good for her to ponder these issues as she listens to this song.
I meant to ask John, shepherds, for or against?
Oh, I'm for shepherds. I don't mean there were 4 shepherds. Again, it's another indeterminate number. There were shepherds, tending to their flocks, etc. It doesn't say how many there were. There could have been 10 of them, or 12, or 4. But I'm for them. As I say, I don't mean that numerically. I'm on their side, and I think they should be included. But what I don't like is when they turn up, and then a whole bunch of, 3 kings turn up at the same time. It's ridiculous. Not at the same time, but immediately afterwards.
Okay.
Crazy.
All right. Well, John, thanks for putting us right on the old Shepherd's issue. And I guess the answer to everything is a lot of signage everywhere. That would be better, wouldn't it? A lot of signage.
A lot of signage and attention to the text. Right. I think that would also be helpful.
Okay.
I don't think many people actually bother to read what's there, to be honest.
No. Okay. Well, I didn't know you were such an expert, John, so that's good to have your expertise on this issue.
I thought it was clear that I am an expert on lots of things.
That is very clear, John. Okay,
Indeed,
John.
Thank you.
Right. Well, we're going to play for you. I'm sorry, it's King's College, Cambridge, but there we go. And this is We Three Kings of Orient Are. So lovely to speak to you, John. I won't be around.
Can I just say something?
Yep.
I just wonder. My memory isn't quite what it used to be. It used to be better. Well, I'm not saying it's terrible or anything. But let's say it was 100%. It now is more like 99%. And therefore, I'm just wondering. Have I ever told you that I used to be a quantity surveyor?
You have actually, John. I think
right. Okay.
You certainly mentioned it in this call. So you have.
Have I? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
No
yes.
worries.
It's just that you questioned my expertise, and that's where I have particular expertise.
Right. No.
Though it does stretch to other matters as well.
You have. Yeah. I think you have mentioned once or twice that you were a quantity surveyor. Okay. Well, it's lovely to speak to you, John, and won't speak to you again this year because I'm off air for a little thing called Christmas and New Year. But I'll hopefully speak to you next year, John.
Well, actually, it would be two little things called Christmas and the New Year, wouldn't it?
That's true.
But sorry to pick you up on that. I have been told off for being a bit of a pedant, but we all have our faults. Yes, indeed. So I hope you do have a very Merry Christmas and an excellent New Year. And I hope to speak to you in that new year at some point. Okay, good stuff, John. Right, well, speak to you soon. Yes, indeed. Great show. Love to be on. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And there we go. That was John Ashe, regular caller to the show. And this is We Three Kings, or I should say we indeterminate number of astrologer philosophers of the Orient Express are. Darren's Valley.